Hello and welcome. I am the Suit&Tie Dip&Chew Guy, and this is the number 10 dry snuff review. It is the 10 slot of the first group. And let me just check that real quick. Yes, I have that correct. It is number 10. Okay, so the product, as you just saw, is Apri by Wilson of Sharrow. It is an English company. You did see that right. It was established in 1737. This is a 5-gram tin that we will be looking at, okay? So it's a very small tin with some serious drawbacks in my mind. The Apri is after the last round of tobacco laws in England. They could not advertise outwardly fruit. So that is actually the changed name of what originally was Apricot. Now Apri, or Apri. So the tin is very small, all right? At this line, right where my fingernail is the lift off. The upper part just lifts off. It's just a slide off lid. All right, these are not something you want to be walking around with in your pocket. All right, because there is a little bit of suction, but not enough to guarantee not having some sort of mishap. All right. And then the back, I do not know what the date code means. The 18 is probably 2018, but this stuff keeps for a very long time. Only time you really have to start worrying about dry snuff, because there is more moisture content. A lot of it you couldn't tell, not moisture content in the way you think of with like a can of dip. But there is a moisture content, and you can tell when the stuff's drying out because a full tin will start looking only 3/4 full. It actually compacts when it loses the moisture. The only time you really have to worry about that, though, is if you are using the tin and opening it a good number of times, and then you stop using the tin. All right? If you go back and revisit that tin a year or two later, yeah, it will have lost its moisture content. But with new tins, I mean, just me knowing that this is 2018 is good enough for me. So these 5-gram, actually, slap it on a flat level and then slide it back and forth, turning the can between slides to level the product. All right, so it's just literally a lift off. It just lifts off. I mean, you got to be careful, and even on this I don't have it leveled real well, so I'm going to grab the snuff spoon and try to knock it back a little bit. I'm just trying to knock it back. So what you're looking at there is a very fine grind. See how close I can get it here without spilling. I really don't like these cans. It's very fine stuff. All right. It is listed as a medium grind, medium moisture product. It is what I would say, you can't really, this light sort of bleaches it out. It is a medium brown as well. I'm going to knock out 2 little bumps. This is a non-mentholated product, okay? And I'm going to tell you right now, having already sampled it, this is probably not a good idea for somebody that's just beginning. In fact, I've been having problems with it. I would not be surprised at all if this 1 hits the back of my throat, or 2 makes me sneeze, or some combination of 1 and 2. So I'm going to do just that. All right. There's a burn going in. It's affecting the eyes. There's a definite nicotine kick. Wow. There's a definite nicotine kick. I didn't really notice that before. I don't think I'm going to sneeze, though. Wow. The heck? Oh, I just got done doing a chew review. I haven't done anything in like an hour. Okay. I was wondering why that was hidden so hard. I was using chew for a review I just did of the mail pouch. So I've been using a fairly low nicotine product for the last hour and a half. Okay, so I'm going to see if I can get... had some on the desk. That's what the desk is clean because I just cleaned it a little while ago. So, okay, it is, if you haven't done anything else for a couple hours, a pretty good nicotine kick. It is non-mentholated. It does burn a little bit. It's a fine grind. But it is a little, it feels a little coarse going in. There's a bit of a burn. And then your eyes will start watering. Let me see if I got anything on my nose here. Scent-wise, it's apricot, but it's a very, it's a very, if you got an apricot and shaved off part of the peel on it, dried that out, and then grinded it down and added some tobacco, that's the scent essence. Okay? It's not, again, none of this stuff is candy-esque. All right? But this, even by dry snuff standards, this is not... Dry rind from an apricot ground down is the scent essence, not apricot itself, as one would imagine it. Okay, so there is a definite the upside of this is you do get the scent of tobacco. The apricot is not covering the tobacco. It's on top of it, but it's not completely covering it. That said, I don't see somebody new liking this overly or being too... It does have a bit of a nicotine kick, but keep in mind I hadn't really had any real nicotine intake for hour and a half, 2 hours. So obviously, you know, basically anything that has nicotine is going to sort of hit you. Between it not being mentholated and the moisture level being lower than what is really needed for a beginner, I don't see a beginner caring for this. You know, when I got this first grouping in, I went heavy with the Wilsons of Sharrow, which is why we've done, I don't know how many of them now. 1, 2, 3. This is the 4th one. And there's at least one more. That's because I had previous experience years ago with them. But years ago, when I had previous experience, I sort of went in blind myself. It's a great company. They put forth a really quality product, but it, at the same time, it's not really geared for beginners, and it's pretty old school. They're not overly concerned with the way this lid comes off because their users, their clientele, probably dump these little cans and larger ones that are made like them into their own personalized snuff boxes that have lock lids. That's why. This also is probably the way it is can-wise because this is how they were always made. That's the kind of company it is. Okay, they make cans like this with just lift-off lids because that's how they always made cans. Why change now? You know, nearly what we're going about 300 years now. In the next couple decades, it'll be 300-year-old company. So, just to show you size-wise, all right, that's a dip can, and that is the 5-gram can. Okay. And that's why it's a bit hard to deal with the way it's set up. It's very small. So this is a quality product, and the packaging is quality. I mean, the tin itself is very thick. It's much thicker, I would say, than a dip lid, can lid. All right. But there's just, it's not set up for the modern age and new users. Quality product, quality packaging, but if you're not used to it or new to it, I don't see you really liking this. Me, this is by far not my favorite one out of the first group thus far. In fact, it's probably not even the top 5 thus far. I realize I've only done 10, but a little bit too much burn. It's a little bit too dry. I didn't do it this time, but before, when I've tried it over the last week or so, it hit me in the back of the throat a couple times. It just a little too dry and a little too fine. The essence, the scent is there, but it's not. I could use a little bit more. It's just sort of not bad, but definitely not a favorite of mine. Sorry. So this has been the review of Wilson's of Sharrow, Apri, Apricot. Okay. Quality product, quality packaging, but not for me, and probably, if you're new to this, not for you. All right. I am the Suit and Tie Dip and Chew Guy. Do take care of yourselves, and as always, God bless.